have stumbled upon.
It's not something they could just stumble upon randomly.
What exactly have I stumbled upon?
The fourth part of our video recording of our 2023, what we call our loop trip. Go ahead.
We arrived here yesterday from Yellowstone National Park, and I was amazed at the amount of traffic coming into the west entrance of Yellowstone.
It was for miles, don't you think?
It was
backed
crazy.
up traffic all the way through town.
And through the town of West
all
Yellowstone.
The way through.
I mean, it was like, we're from the Pacific Northwest. This was like driving through downtown Seattle on rush hour. We came in through the south entrance a few days back when we arrived from Grand Teton National Park. Breezed right through, maybe half a dozen cars in line here. Not the case there yesterday at West Yellowstone. So anyway, just a bit of advice, if you can come in through another entrance outside of West Yellowstone, maybe that's a good idea.
And today we're going to explore the caverns here, so stay tuned. Lewis and Clark Caverns State Park. We have a cavern tour scheduled at 10:30. So we're just viewing the area before we take our tour.
Start off with a question. Who do you think discovered these caverns? Ah, you would think, but it was named by the federal government, so do with that what you will. Actually, Lewis and Clark never made it up here. As far as they got is the Jefferson behind you on their journey through in 1805 and then the return in 1806. It was named Lewis and Clark Caverns because under the Antiquities Act of 1906, the establishment of national parks and national monuments became allowed, and Theodore Roosevelt was a huge fan of Lewis and Clark because he saw a lot of himself in them. So this became the 15th national monument, and Theodore Roosevelt said they were close enough, nothing federally is named after Lewis and Clark, so we're going to do it here. And no one was going to argue because he was Theodore Roosevelt. He got shot halfway through a speech and just kept going. You're not going to tell him no. There are other formations called flowstone, and they are made from flowing water. So you can see right here where it's almost smoother than, say, this. That's from the water flowing and depositing all of those minerals. Remains white because it's still just limestone. It doesn't have that iron. This was created by two different streams of water that happen to come together in the middle at some point.
Well, we left Lewis and Clark Caverns State Park. We drove about 137 miles through Montana. We got here at a place called Ekstrom Stage Station. Full hookups here. And we just got a piece of pie and ice cream at the restaurant. This is original recipe from 1883. It's huckleberry pie with vanilla ice cream.
Pretty tasty.
Is it pretty tasty? Okay, Tim, I need your analysis or your rating of that pie that we just ate here at the Ekstrom stage station. We just had a piece of huckleberry pie with ice cream on it. They say that these recipes have not changed since the 1800s.
And they say that the recipes have never been written down either. It's just
right.
generation to generation, word of mouth in practice.
So what did you think of that pie?
Well, I'm not a huge pie eater, but huckleberry pie, because I like them because they're tart, not overly sweet. And I don't know, I'd give this a 9 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
It was excellent.
I'm just right up there. I'm just going to give it a 10. All right, it was great. I loved it. If you are heading through Montana on I-90, I would consider stopping here at Ekstrom's stage station campground. It has a lot of history here. There's a beautiful walk down by the river. A lot of fishermen come here. But the historic element of it is really strong here. The restaurant is in a building that was originally a stage station for stagecoaches coming through. So the dining room, the area that's the dining room, is where the horses were kept. And the area that the kitchen is where they repaired the wagons. And that's just a little tiny bit of the history here. The family, the Ekstrom family, goes back to the late 1800s, and the recipes they use in the kitchen go back to the 1800s also. We're packing it up now. We're gonna move on further through Montana into eastern Washington and then head home. Hi, Tim. Where are you, Tim?
I'm at the River
Edge
Resort.
This is a one-nighter. How do you like that for some beauty back there? This is Montana. There's a steakhouse here at this resort. This is just the back side of the steakhouse. It's right on this beautiful river. And this is the Clark Fork River. So there's another view of our one-night stay at River Edge Resort in Alberton, Montana. Traveling on I-90, we're just about passing from Montana into the state of Idaho. We're going to travel through the panhandle of Idaho today until we hit Spokane, Washington. So we're going to be covering 3 states this morning. We decided to take time off the road and visit the Cataldo Mission at Old Mission State Park, just 28 miles east of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The Old Mission was constructed by Catholic missionaries and members of the Coeur d'Alene Indian tribe between 1850 and 1853. Today, it is run as a state park, and each year members of the Coeur d'Alene tribe make pilgrimage here to commemorate the coming of the Black Robes. This mission is the oldest standing building in Idaho. Notice the metalwork here, along with these candle holders, all made from tin cans. And the beautiful floral wallpaper is hand-painted newspaper. It has some protective coating over parts of it now to prevent further deterioration. These beautiful ceiling panels were given a blue tint by staining them with huckleberry juice. Just came into the parish house that sits right next to the Cataldo mission. That was a great stop. So interesting, but we have to get back on the road. Welcome to Washington State. Hey, we are here at Riverside State Park.
Yes, we are.
And I'm just gonna, why don't you go ahead and read this little thing we wrote about it, because
Okay.
I wanted to tell you about it.
We are staying here for 2 nights. It's called the Bowl and Pitcher Campground in Riverside State Park in Spokane, Washington. And it's kind of a circuitous way to get here. We did kind of a winding drive through the outskirts of Spokane and all the city elements, if you know what I mean. And
They may not know what you mean.
well, I mean, they're passed through one area which looked
It was rough.
a little sketchy, and there were homeless people sleeping along the roadsides and whatnot. I mean,
It was difficult.
which seems to be the case in a lot of large metropolitan areas, unfortunately, nowadays.
And we were wondering, where's our campsite?
Yeah.
Where's the state park?
We did finally find it. It's a beautiful park, quiet for being close to such a large metropolitan area. But anyway, it lies along the Spokane River, and there's 200,000 feet of shoreline here, which is pretty spectacular. And there's a short walk from our campsite, brings you right down to the river, and there's an iconic suspension bridge that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, back in the 30s, I think.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I mean, the CCC was formed back in the 30s during the Depression. So, it crosses the Spokane River and connects to miles of hiking trails on the other side of the river. That's
Yeah, our campsite is no hookups. We're walking down this other area here right along the river where they have full hookups. And we don't mind not having any hookups. The restrooms are really nice. They have flush toilets and showers. And we're walking down here along the river. But one thing that happened, I learned about a new bug.
actually, we learned about a new bug.
We learned about a new
It
bug.
was our crash course in entomology.
Yes, and this is for our grandson Cameron because he keeps us in tune to bugs and things like that. So this is for you, Cameron. Right outside of our campsite, there was a hole about that size, kind of cone-shaped in the dirt, and I was noticing that the dirt was just puffing up out of it. It almost looked like smoke puffing up out of this hole. And I'd never seen anything like that. So I did get a little video of it. And Tim researched it. What'd you find out?
Yeah, and after Googling on a funnel-shaped hole with jets of dirt being puffed out, found out that it's most likely what's called either an ant lion or
Doodlebug.
commonly a doodlebug.
Doodlebug. Cool name.
Which is an insect, maybe they grow to about an inch and a half, and they've got these great big huge mandibles, and they kind of look like something from the movie Alien, but they make these cone-shaped or funnel-shaped holes with loose dirt lined around it, and ants and other insects will come in and drop down in the hole. Then because the dirt is so loose, they can't get a grip to crawl back out. And when the doodlebug senses that there's an insect in his little funnel, he'll start kicking up more dirt to kind of knock the ant or the insect down to where he's lying in wait. And presto digitation, that's instant lunch.
There you go. And they're also related to roly-polies. Oops, correction. They are not related, but people often call roly-polies doodlebugs. And you got some other cool information about doodlebugs.
Yeah, and this is actually the larval stage of the antlion, or the doodlebug is the larval stage, and it pupates and develops into a flying insect that looks very similar to a damselfly or a dragonfly. So
We haven't seen any of those flying
yeah,
forms yet.
pretty fun bit of knowledge to pick up while you're camping. So
Yes.
Even sky's the limit. I used to be satisfied, stayed over the surface. Now I just can't get enough. You make me feel good like no other. I just want everyone to see what I've discovered. And when I'm with you, I go higher. You lift me up, now I can see so much farther. Beyond the horizon. Beyond the horizon. I'm a butterfly who has only begun, taking me a while to get it. Had to live and cry to appreciate life, and what you give is worth it. When you're holding me, when you hold me so
behind me you see the suspension bridge crossing the Spokane River. The original one was constructed and completed in 1940. This particular structure replaced the old one, was completed in 1997. And they call it a swinging bridge. It's not technically a swinging bridge. It is a very stout suspension bridge. But when you walk across it and look down at the river, it's still amazingly scenic.
Amazing.
can't get enough. You make me feel good like no other. I just want everyone to see what I've discovered. And when I'm with you, I go higher. You lift me up, now I can see so much farther.
Oh, we're actually higher than they are now. Sunday morning, we're packing up to move out of here and change our campsite to Potholes State Park in Othello. About that. But I wanted to show you another doodlebug cone right here at the base of this tree. And I had covered 2 of them up. And I wanted to see what happened, but here they're back again. So there's a lot of ants in this area, and the doodlebugs seem to keep the population down. Well, here we sit at Potholes State Park, and it's very peaceful here.
Peace and quiet. What a vacation spot.
Peace and quiet is for libraries.
Can you tell how relaxing it is? It's pretty relaxing. So now I'm going to turn the camera around and let you see our spot. Ta-da! And none other than Tim Hartman sits there looking at the map. We want to figure out how to get to the boat launch. That's what we're going to try to figure out. Big parking lot over there. I'm cooking our dinner in this Hot Logic Mini tonight. Earlier on the trip, the safety glass on our oven shattered when we were on a drive that was full of potholes. Funny because we're at Potholes State Park, but a different kind of pothole. Anyway, I'm not using the oven. It's also so hot outside, I just did not want to cook on the stovetop using the gas. So I put our dinner is in this Hot Logic. It's plugged into electricity. It also has a plug-in that we can use with the inverter in our car when our truck is running. But I'm gonna check it and see how it's doing. I put some salmon in here at 3 o'clock. And let's check and see how it's doing. Ah, look at that. That looks pretty nice. Can you see that? And yeah, that's definitely done. Okay, so we'll be eating pretty soon. So you may be wondering why we don't have the kayaks out on the lake here, which is a little reservoir made by the O'Sullivan Dam. We don't have the kayaks out for 2 reasons.
Shh, I'm scorching.
One reason, it is so hot. We pictured ourselves just cooking as if we were in an oven if we got out there on the water with no protection from the sun. And the other reason is there's warnings all over about the toxic algae bloom in the water. And you can see it. There is quite a bit of it. Now people are doing water sports, pulling inner tubes behind their boat. They have all kinds of watercraft out there. There's a lot of fishing going on. They warn you that if you catch fish, you gotta make sure you gut the fish really well and clean them before you take
discard
them home.
The internal organs, because if there's a toxic algae bloom, that organism can be concentrated in the internal organs of any fish. Yeah, it's awfully warm, a little bit too warm to do anything. The kayaks are sitting on top of the truck. We just didn't want to be out in the water and wind up being like 2 big pieces of sizzling bacon in a boat. You look at the boaters that are out there, well, especially the fishermen that aren't zipping back and forth across the lake, water skiing or towing tubers or whatnot. They all have, convertible tops over their heads, or a lot of them even have sort of like smaller beach umbrellas that they're using as shade. Because if you're sitting out there uncovered in a boat, it's going to be doggone warm.
Weather's fun, 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 fun.
And there's a nice park area with several volleyball courts set up. There's a play area for kids. People actually did have their kids and their dogs out in the water, but there's signs all over saying not to do that, so it's a little concerning. I wouldn't want to get out there and deal with that.
Let me hear you say I'm ready. I'm ready. Come on, now slide, slide, slide to the bar. Shine, shine, shine like a star. Let me hear you say I'm ready. I'm ready. Come on, now slide, slide, slide to the bar. Shine, shine, shine like a star. Yeah, that's what I wanna see you slide, slide, slide. I wanna see you shine, shine. Oh, it's on tonight. Throw that thing from left, right, side to side. Yeah. All my friends are here, playing my favorite song right back on time. Ooh, and we never stop. Music pumping, we just keep on rolling.
Welcome to Kanaskat-Palmer State Park. We are taking a trail from our campground to the day use area, and we don't know what we're gonna find. We have arrived at the day use area on the Green River. What you see here are considered Class 4 rapids, and only expert boaters are advised to run the river beyond this point. So I don't think we'll be putting our kayaks in today.
Passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so
out, reach out, reach out to the sky.
Right now we just put mushrooms, onions, and bacon on the grill. Doesn't that sound good? What else do you need? And we're so close to home, 70 miles from home.
Yeah, we've been gone nearly 5 weeks now, so.
Yeah.
And this is our final night on the road.
But you're going to be pretty excited to see these smash burgers that we're doing. I saw a video of this and we're doing our version of it.
Well, one would hope they're going to be excited.
I love hamburgers.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out to the sky. I found my way, I found my way. I was in the dark, against it all, but made it through the thing. Cause I found my way, I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay, cause I found my way.
Okay, we added the mushrooms, the onions to that burger, and we're gonna fold that over. All right, we are going to eat these babies.
I think the tortillas got a little crispy.
What do you think?
I think they got a little crispy.
Okay, so we're gonna do this. We'll let you know how they turned out. That was a good dinner. We hope you enjoyed our little video of it. Yep, so this is a wrap. Anything we want to add, Tim?
I don't think so. That's about all I have to say.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time in another traveling adventure, because we will be back out here.
We'll be back out somewhere.
'Cause I found my way.